Hello, hello. Chocky Chat. It's episode 149. It's the 27th of September. I was going to say October then, just scare everybody. 27th of October, episode 140. 149 weeks. This blows me away a little bit. But anyway, how's everybody doing? Chocky Chat, how are you? Welcome. Who else we got? Alex Eats, hello there. Who else we got? Scottish Chocolates. We got to talk. We can't start without talking about Billy's eyes, can we? Billy's eyes. Go and have a look at the page. Go and have a look at the Chocky Chat page on Facebook. Billy's eyes are there. So Lonely there in Denmark. Hello, hello. Paula's there. Hi, Chocky Chat crew. Forest Road Chocolate. Stephanie is in Canada. Alice, who's just up the road from here. Vincent Hopkins is in central London. Very talented pastry chef there. Kelly there. Kelly Wessel Chocolates. Mother Baker saying, oh my god, that lobster linguine looked banging. Yeah, it was very, very nice. I did do it justice. We like a bit of seafood. One of the joys of living on an island is we have access to that, and it's quite reasonably priced. Very reasonably priced. So if they have lobster and we drive by, we get one because kind of we can, right? So, and they're certainly not the prices you would get like retail. So and it's very nice. Pretty fancy chocolates there. Dan Marie, we're down in New Zealand. Who else? Nadia's there. Hiya, Nadia. Judith, I should say. How you doing, Vincent? Hello, hello, Chef Af, how are you? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Buen Salvage, is that Coco? I think I pronounced that right, don't know. Sophia, So Sassy's here today. Sophia's gonna, do you know what Sophia's gonna do? Sophia's gonna write the questions down that I get asked, so that when I do this afterwards, I can write down what questions, because very often I kind of get to the end of the hour and then go, what did we talk about? I've got to remember what I'm answering, say hello to people, multitask, do all that kind of stuff. So Sophia's in the background helping tonight, so it's a full family affair. The other thing is, look at this badge. Sophia got a badge for shooting. This is from the Small Bore Association, the Rifle Association. So she's a proficient small bore shot. Pretty cool, right? Good dad moment, that one. So Carol's joined us. Hello, Carol. Chocolates by Neander. How are you, sir? Andrew there up in Aberdeen, styling chocolates. Everybody's been really, really busy, haven't they? Really, really busy. Some absolutely amazing stuff being posted this week. Really, really, really. Mariba's on her way to a coffee chocolate festival. Happy days. So you're going to be awake on the way back, aren't you? So Jaco in Chile. Hello in Chile. When I seen that, I don't know what that size that was. More like 1.5 kilo lobster, right? It was the only one in the tank, and it's like, I've got to have that. So good evening, Chocky Chat crew. Nettie's joined us there. Hello, hello, Cynthia. Nettie saying hello from Denmark. So Charlene's Chocolate Factory. Hello, hello, and spoke to you well. Susie Floozy's joined us. Susie Floozy Cakes. She's a bit of a one-arm bandit because she's had surgery. So please send your get wells. I hope you recover soon, Susie. It looks like quite a painful operation you had there. Never had carpal tunnel, but I've worked with people that have, and it just, aggravating until you get it. Until you get surgery on it. So Amina Sweets, hello. What else have we got? Cocoa Boats. Lots of new names here. Lots of new names. Less customers, but a lot of prep for Christmas on the go. Happy days, Stuart. Everybody's posting some amazing stuff this week. I've been proper fangirling over all the posts this week. Being a little bit busy with this, orders are fair to say that everybody is back to producing chocolate now, or the majority are back to producing chocolate. So yeah, kind of orders are off the charts. So we just, I think there were days when I was making them and posting them. I was just trying to keep up, but I think we've put a dent in the stock and got enough going on here to, we can kind of stay ahead of it now. So doesn't help when I take a few weeks off work though, does it? Gotta have the rest. If I don't have rest, I can't work. So go Sophia, well done. Yeah, happy days, a good shot. Takes after a dad. I'm good at throwing a ladle at 1,000 meters, right? Philip Vieira, good evening, everyone. It's been a minute since I had time to be here. Absolutely, welcome back, Philip. I liked Stuart. I liked those. Was that Apple Crunch? Was that apple crunch you were doing, or lime shine? I think it might have been lime shine. Mo saying she could have eaten all that lobster on her own. The girls pretty much did eat all that on their own. So, well, we tell you, we went there. We went there to try and get crab, right? But they didn't have any, so I got a lobster, which is not an easy. That's not a fair swap, is it? You go for a crab and come back with a lobster. The guy's kind of like, yeah, a sales strategy. He probably does has crabs. He just kind of showed us those, right? Mouth explosions. Hello, hello. Vincent, was you on Marco's British Feast all those years ago? Very possibly. Very possibly. I did work for him. Welcome to all the newbies joining tonight. Absolutely. Welcome to Chocy Chat. If you've got questions, fire them away. Sophia's going to write them down. I'm going to answer them. Sophia's writing them down so that I, like, with my old age and grey hair, I get to the end of this and go, oh, I can't remember what questions. So certainly if you've got questions, I think I've posted a couple of things this week. One was about lustre dust, and I'm gonna just do something with the lustre dust, because I posted something and I'd sprayed black cocoa butter, and all it is I sprayed the black cocoa butter and I said this plus this, the lustre dust creates this, and showed the shells. And then I got all these questions saying, well, when do you put the lustre dust in, and how do you do that, and what do you do with it, and do you tap it out, do you shake it in? So I'm just going to go through that. I'm not going to shell, but I'm just going to show you how you can use the lustre dust and what you would do, and then I'll explain that one in a minute. And then obviously I'll answer some questions as well tonight. So the other thing that I posted a little bit earlier today was about not getting carried away with fillings. And I did have a couple of messages where people said, no, you should do weird and wacky. Absolutely. I think you should have a curveball, you know, every menu you create. And when you're doing your fillings, your box, whatever you're doing, it's a box of 9, box of 12, whether you have a big collection. It's okay to have a couple of kind of curveballs in there. And curveballs would be, if you think of like a restaurant menu, you have all your staples, all the things that you know that will sell. And then somewhere in there, you have a couple of curveballs that are kind of unique, maybe groundbreaking, maybe flavors that people haven't had before. I think what I was trying to state in that post is that it's okay to have kind of run of the mill fillings that people recognise, and have one or two curveballs. What you can't do is have lots of weird. And if you have too many weird, kind of get to a point where people go, I don't really get it. Like you're trying too hard, you know. Caramel sells, hazelnut and caramel sells. In fact, you talk about fillings. If you had a look of the average kind of confectionery on the high street, so the shelf that's got all the confectionery on it, those are the flavours that you're being measured against as a chocolatier. You should be able to make them better tasting than that. But if you have a look at all that's available on those kind of shelves, you will find that caramel features very, very, very predominantly in the majority of them. And it's not one that you should overlook, right? So it's okay having a curveball. It's okay having some different ones. If you love making them, you want to test the product out. What you can't do is have a collection full of kind of too weird and wacky, right? Balance is what I'm talking about. Hello, chef. How do you make draggies? Funny you mentioned that. That's not a loaded question. Draggie machine. So I got a panna on its way to me right now, and then we're going to do a class on that. And it's going to be a reasonable class like I do. So not sure whether it will be a live class or if it will be a recorded one or a mix of both. But I'm going to go into how draggies are done, because it's been quite a few years since I've done them. Really, really enjoyed it. Frustrating at the beginning. But we're going to get some classes together on that, because I think having a look around the market, the price for the classes for draggie work, and people want to do more and more of it. I was absolutely shocked at the price of the classes for draggie and panning. Absolutely fell off my chair when I saw some of the prices, and it's not a difficult task. It's really, like everything, it's technique, and it's just understanding what's happening and why. And if we take all the big clever words out of it and we replace those words with simple things that most people understand, actually dragée work becomes quite straightforward. All right, so yeah, we're gonna go into that a little bit. So Laura's chocolates, hello. Yeah, sure, it was the lime shine. They photographed really, really well. I'm just gonna read through. Does anybody have a tip for mini spatulas or similar to use for stirring small cups of cocoa butter? I found some in plastic for makeup. I use these. I have these are kind of standard stirrers, but when I order them, I get these little sticks, and I found those quite good. I don't really buy specific for that. I kind of find that, like, if I'm stirring cocoa butter, the end of my Thermapen's more than enough to kind of give it a stir. If everything's sunk down and needs a really good stir up, we will just give it a gentle move around with one of those. Particularly when they've separated. I don't have one here, but you know, you've got like a deep pot. That's Copper King. Perfectly tempered Copper King. Is it going to come out? Yeah, it's got a habit of sinking, and we'll just give it a stir with one of those, and then kind of stir everything back up. And then once it's all separated and more fluid, then we'll temper it down from there. So, Mrs. So Sussy's joined us. Any tips on coating crystallized ginger, as I keep getting asked for it and thinking it will keep sugar through? Will it seep sugar through chocolate? With preserved ginger, just want to really dry it out. If you have got a dehydrator, it's so much easier. It depends how it's been poached. It depends how dry it is at the point that you sugar coat it, but it shouldn't. I think the thing with preserved ginger is it's always nice if it's done half. So if you get the long sticks, that it's not completely enrobed in chocolate, like there's a little piece on the end, but no, the sugar shouldn't seep through. It shouldn't do. Just need to dry out, Paulie, just need to dry out that ginger enough. If you don't have a dehydrator, I would get it onto just some wire racks and just get it completely air dry before you do anything. Right, just make sure your room's not humid as well, actually, otherwise you do the reverse. Can I pan milk hazelnuts and then cover in the last layer of red chocolate with the pearls? Not had yes, you can. I'm going to add these should be ready next week. I'm just waiting on the top label coming back. We had some sent to us and we measured it, and then when I got them, it's like they don't fit, so they're not the measurement that I asked for, are they? With the pearls, so if you were panning your milk chocolate, you've got a couple of options to do it. The first one is just to do the very last layer. You can do it in white. And then the second to last layer, you can do it in white and just roll them up a little bit more. And that's the untempered chocolate. Then you can colour some of the white chocolate with the red pearls, and then just do that as a final layer. And then go through your, I don't know what shirt you use. Are you using shellac or are you using a capol? But sometimes you have a barrier to put on there and then a polishing substance. So it's really up to you. But if you do a white layer, or you could just go straight in and do a slightly thicker layer of red, of white chocolate coloured red with the pearls. And again, I would do 6 pearls to the 400 grams, will give you a really bright colour. And then just finish it off like that. Leave them to dry, or cool them, leave them to dry, and then go into your polishing and setting. That's not going to mean a lot to people, but for those that do panning, you'll understand what I mean. So, what else have we got? Panning Facebook pages is not as good as Chocky Chat. They don't like helping. I don't know what it is about panning. It's like this big secret around it. It's not a difficult thing to do. It definitely comes with some practice. Okay. I think if I remember back to my days, it's setting the speed right. You know, if you go too fast, one or two things happen. They either start spitting out of the front, okay, in which case you've got to tilt it over to its side, or if it rolls too fast, when they go up the slope and then they bounce down, they flatten, and you end up with bigger problems, or you get two pieces squash into each other, and then you end up with a giant ball, Stuart, which I'm sure you've probably realised, right? But we'd layer the chocolate in and then do cold air to get that to set, and you end up with a lot on the outside, the inside of the drum, and then you apply heat, but not so much heat so that it goes back onto the panned pieces and comes off the side. And then when you empty it out, then you can heat it and scrape the drum. But we'll do a bit more on panning. Once I get the machine here, then I'll do some posts and bits and pieces on it, right? So I think the aim is to, people get the KitchenAid attachments. Panning machines aren't anywhere near the price that they used to be. Domestic ones are much more available. There's some available on marketplaces and things now. They're quite reasonable. It's a bit like the you know, the melangers, you know, at the beginning, if you go back 3 or 4 years, they were ridiculously expensive. Now they're coming down in price, or certainly they are more reasonable to make your own nut paste and pralines and bits and pieces. So chocolate creams, hello. How many degrees do I have to make my cocoa butter so it can come out really shiny? Enos, it's not, tempering is one thing. When we're tempering, I'm trying to think, let me just formulate how we go answer this. We would melt the cocoa butter and then we will cool it very, very quickly, balanced over water and stir, okay? And that's what will produce the beta crystals, and then we'll use it. Then it needs to crystallize inside the mold. The shine is not just the cocoa butter and the chocolate, it's all the stuff in sequence. So once we painted the mold, then we want to shell with chocolate at the right temperature. If it's too cool, we're not going to melt that layer, so it's not going to move across when it retracts or shrinks. And then equally, you know, if the chocolate's too warm or the cocoa butter's too warm and we haven't got enough beta crystals in there, it's not going to shrink and come away. The shine is not one thing, it's many things done in the right order. It's not hugely difficult. I think the classes that I do would explain it so much more than I could do in this kind of limited brief chat. But really shiny gloss comes from tempering cocoa properly and making sure it's fully crystallized, and then tempering chocolate properly and making sure that once we've shelled, we have that time to wait, and then it retracts or shrinks, so it pulls away from the surface and it will mirror the surface. So if we've got a rough edge, no amount of polishing is going to make your bonbons shinier. Understanding the process of crystallization and shrinkage, so when the shell comes out and retracts from the mold, it will mirror the surface that it was on. So if that surface is nice and smooth and clean, that's not going to make it more shiny, but it's going to make the chocolate retract all at the same speed as well. So there's lots of things to it. So tempering the cocoa butter is just one kind of tiny part of it, right? It's all in the right order. Oh, Nadia, that's a good idea. Chopsticks to stir cocoa butter. I used to use these little lollipop sticks, and then I realised that we were just going through hundreds at a time. So Sophia's saying, is that my Thermapen? Yes, let me tell the internet right now, Sophia, that I'm using your Thermapen. I'll get my ones. My ones don't have pretty colours on, like Sophia's got her own Thermapen. All right, Sophia, point made. I just grabbed that, Sophia, because it's nearest to me. I know, daughters. Wooden tongue depressors, yeah, that's a good one. Is 10% powdered colour a good starting point for cocoa butter? Yes, it is, but there are limits. So I often see this, it's like, you know, just put 10% in. You'd need to know whether you were breaking the law on the colourings, because blue, red, yellow, they've all got different levels. For some it's 10%, for some it's 8.4%, and then it changes country to country. So you kind of really need to know what the rules are where you live. And it also depends on that colouring pigment and the purity of it. So 10% is a good starting point. That's Sophia. 10% is a good starting point. You might find that you're kind of breaking the law, right? Or you're over the limit. And if you are over the limit and you're caught, you're going to have to explain, right? Hello from Milan. Linda's in Milan. Happy days, Linda. You travel some lovely places. You really, really do. Caramel and creams. Will you be doing any one-to-one classes again in 2024? Don't know at the minute. We just all the classes are offline at the moment, just because I'm trying to desperately catch up. I'm still waiting on websites to finish. We're just absolutely full on. At the moment, I'm kind of starting work at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning and working through till 10, 11 o'clock at night without a stop. And that's not just me, that's all of us, just fully committed to getting enough colours done and launching new products and doing all those other things. So don't know about the one-to-ones yet. I'm hoping that we'll see a break in the next few weeks, just where I can kind of assess where we are and what we need to do. So Hashim's joined us. Hello. Gum Arabic was going to do last layer red, white chocolate. Doing okay with panning. Got some hotels. So yeah. So Stuart, yeah, so the gum arabic diluted into the alcohol, yeah. So you can use that as that final layer. I just go if you're shelling with hazelnuts with a milk chocolate, just go in with that final layer. You don't need to do a white layer. I think the cocoa pearls will give you a bright enough, and you don't really need to consider opacity. If you just build up that layer a little bit thicker for that final layer, Stuart, that's what I do. And then dry them and then go through the polishing bit, right? Don't put too much polishing because it goes sticky and then you end up with other problems, right? So, Scottish chocolates. Don't suppose you have a contacting capel, yeah? We need an UK, Europe small scale supplier. It's like they don't want people to buy it. I had to import from the USA. It's in extraordinarily large amounts. I don't know why they do that. I think it just goes off to the big factories. There are other colour suppliers that I have difficulties with because they minimum order is like 300-400 kilos of a colour, which doesn't bother me too much. But do I want to store 300 or 400 kilos of one colour? Not particularly. So yeah, they're very some of these big conglomerates, they're very difficult. And Capol, it's always been a problem that you have to buy this kind of huge 25 kilo tub and then you don't use it within that use by date. There might be an option. There. So it would be much more handy if they were in this kind of small 100-gram containers, without a doubt. Hello in Iceland. Hello in Iceland. Chocolate Lily, I think, is in Florida. Yeah, having some bad weather at the minute, right? I don't know. Loads of new names here. If you've not asked a question, this is your chance to fire away. I don't think I've missed any. Panning is really good fun, but it's addictive, right? It is. You're like, I just want to have one more go. Just one more go. Should I just go through these lustre dust? Let me put that badge away. Right, question I got. So I did a post earlier in the week. I'm going to do these two. So I'll show you what I do. We're going to do the bronze. We'll do the red chrome. If I wanted to paint and do all the kind of normal stuff, it's fine. One of the things that we will do is, let me get another mould here. This is the green that I sprayed last week that I didn't use. If I wanted to spray a colour, you get all the tools together. I'm going to answer this question before we get to it, right? That is a balling tool for when we make, in decorations where we make flowers, okay? So, for instance, if I had a colour and then I wanted to scratch, I think you can see us making a shape in there, okay? So we scratched out that surface, okay? That will give us a shape, right? So what I can do is go in with a lustre dust behind that, right? So that's one of the options. If I was just going to lustre dust one of these, I'll do one in red and one in bronze, right? These are all back in stock now as well, which is proper handy. We'll do the red one. Don't load the brush up too much, okay? If you're just doing plain ones, you just want to dab it in, okay? Just want to dab it in, and it will give us that, okay? So there's obviously something else on that brush. So we'll just dab that in. Don't swirl. If you swirl, you pull all of it out. Okay? So you just want to dab it in. Dab it all in. Okay? And you're going to get a bit of a mess on the background of it. Okay? So we'll do that one, and then I'll do the bronze one next to it. And then all I would literally do. Okay, you see these come up different. I'm not going to tap any of this out. Okay? Because literally, these tubs are 10 grams. It's very, very, very light. It's a very, very light product, okay? So we'll make a little bit of a mess on there. All I'm going to do is just if I tap that out, it's all going to come out. If one of the questions I get, so I'm just giving that a wipe, okay? And you can see it's a little bit, like into this one here, it's a little bit grainy. If I start tapping that out, it's going to fall out. So it's just going to go up in the air, and you're going to be breathing it in, and it's one of those things. You should be wasting it, right? So I've not wiped a huge amount off on that class. So once you've dabbed that in, and it's really hard for you to see at the minute, but you can see in here where it all looks a little bit flaky, okay, we give that surface a wipe. If I go straight in and shell, the weight of that chocolate will compress that, so that when it turns out, you'll be left with the shine. If I blow air into this, or if I try and spray to cover this now, we end up blowing all that lustre dust out, and it won't be quite as visual. If you feel like you do need to set it with something, you want to spray with an airbrush from quite a distance, you're going to waste a lot of cocoa butter. You want to spray from a distance so that it captures it, but truly there's no need to do it. For all the posts that I've done, all those ones where we sprayed the black cocoa butter into ripples, all we did is I just went straight in with that and just dabbed straight back on top of it, okay? We gave the mould a little bit of a wipe, okay? And then we just went in straight away and shelled, all right? You don't need to tap it out, you don't need to blow it, you don't need to set it. They look like quite raised flakes actually, but you know, once the chocolate goes in, it compresses it and you get this lovely layer. And it doesn't come off on your fingers either, so it's very visual, it's lovely. For those that have used the lustre dust, they're good fun. It's a really easy way to decorate. As I said, you can spray the mould. And then carve out a design using a balling tool or a stick, so you can carve that space out and then fill that void. Or if you like, you know, if you look at one of my posts where we cut the rings in, so where we would heat the metal rings and put them in and then wipe that out with a sponge, that little void that's left, you can just go straight in with a lustre dust, and it's a really nice way and quick way to decorate. Very often, you know, one of our collections are 12 or 15. One or two of them will just be a plain lustre dust, or we'll spray half a mould black and then just put red chrome on the other side. Really visual, quite messy. Got it all over me now. I very often go out covered in what looks like makeup, but it's alright, it's cool. I can answer that. Let's go back. There's a couple of questions. Sean Rennie's joined us. How you doing, Sean? Love the lustre dust. The lustre dusts are really good fun actually. They are really, really easy to use. And there is a difference between, sometimes you get lustre dust, I'm not going to mention the brands, I think I know the ones, but they'll put like rice flour in it. The problem is it makes them non-stick, so they won't dab into a mould, they don't stick into a mould, and when you turn it upside down the whole lot falls out. We don't have that, we've not diluted ours down. It's pure silicate and it will stick to the mould, and then you just shell, right? Don't need to do anything at all. If you want to spray ripples in there and then back that up, it will fill all those voids in between the butter and looks really lovely and visual, and it's very, very quick to decorate like that. So if you purchase airbrushing for beginners, is it possible to get support on which compressor to buy? I have a few in mind, but for my budget that are available in Canada. Yeah, definitely. Do you know, like the airbrush class does talk about compressors. If you do the airbrush class, you just ping me an email, possibly with the links. If you do the airbrush class and it talks through kind of what you're looking for, because we talk about equipment, we talk about compressors, we talk about volume or air volume that's required. There's so many on the market. I'm quite like, if you send me a link, like if you're looking to purchase a compressor and you're really not sure, I don't mind if you send me a link via Instagram just so I can have a look, and I'll certainly give you the benefit of my experience and say yes, this will work. Obviously it depends on volume. If you're looking at doing a kind of standard 20-30 molds in a session, you're going to need something that's at least 2.5 litres, at least 2.5 litres. Most of them, and here's another thing, oilless compressors. I see this all the time, okay? And it says an oilless compressor. There are not any oil compressors. We don't make them, you can't buy them anymore. They were two-stroke engines. So an oilless compressor, they're electric, okay? The compressors that had oil were run by petrol or by diesel, and you can't really get those anymore. Most compressors are electric now, and we'll connect them to a generator, which is maybe petrol driven, but I always see this, you know, make sure you got an oilless compressor. don't make ones with oil anymore. They're just too dangerous because they used to explode, right? Back in the day, before I had grey hair, yes, we would use petrol-driven ones, and they needed to be outside. And the reason we said oilless was if you started that compressor and you were in a confined space, people were dying of carbon monoxide poisoning. So the majority of compressors now are oilless because they are electric. So there's one consideration, and you're looking for something that's at least 2.5 litres of volume tank. That'll give you more than enough to, that'll give you, that'll have a reset of probably about 4 times a minute. And it's unlikely you'd use 2.5 litres of air to spray one mould, and then you take your finger off the trigger and it will have chance to recoup that air, so regenerate. So they regenerate every 15 seconds, right? So you're going to get 4 lots of clean air or new air in a 2.5 litre tank. So 2.5 litres, absolutely more than enough for what you'd need. But yeah, book the class. It goes into it. It's, it's great class, the Airbrush class. Goes into cocoa butter tempering, temperatures, lots of do's and don'ts, lots of troubleshooting. What goes wrong and why does it go wrong? And then, as everybody's discovered, if you've got the Airbrush class, you get to see the bloopers at the end where I make a mistake. And it's just me being honest, because it does happen. Oh, here's a question. Here's another question. I answered this. I tried to answer this on the Chocy chat page, okay? The lids of these... let me get a lid. The lids on these, they don't screw on, okay? So this is the Fender brush. This is the one that I recommend, okay? Over a period, they get hot, they get cold, they get hot, they get cold, all right? So eventually this is a little bit loose, and when you're spraying, it drops off. They don't screw on, they push on. This is, I'm gonna angle this down, and this is how you deal with it. All I would do is put the cup on a flat surface and just give it a gentle push, okay? And what it'll do is it will slightly make that oval so that that fits on much, much, much tighter. You don't have to press hard, don't bang it with a hammer, but just put it on the side and just push on it lightly. You'd be amazed how a little push just means that will twist, yeah, and then it will lock. So it will go that way, look. It'll go that way, but it won't quite go any further, okay? And it's locked in place. It's not coming out, okay? If I twist it back a little bit, is it? That'll pop off really easy. Okay, so yeah, just put it on a flat surface, just give it a gentle press, not to the point that it splits, but just a gentle press. Do it a couple of times and you will find, because that goes slightly oval, that the lid will fit on there, okay? There is something that, little gremlins, right? Fiddly fingers, right? But over a period, they warm up, they cool down, they warm up, they cool, especially if you put them in your dehydrator, and that's maxed out at 60, they expand, right? They've got chrome on the outside, but the actual inner working parts are brass, and brass really does move in and out, right? So I can't remember who asked that, but I can't remember who asked that on the Chocy chat page. Truffulus might be here tonight. How did I remember that? Truffulus. So I will go back to him and say, have a look at the Chocy chat tonight. After about minute 55, you'll be able to find what we were doing. So if I hold that one up, that's what we do. No, I wanted to hold that one up for the photo at the end, or both of them. Anyway, it's all about answering questions tonight. Lustres, I love working with them. I've got one in my collection at the moment. It's Breakfast At on one half and Bronze Lustre on the other half. Looks gorgeous. The lustre dusts are really easy to work with because they do stick, because they haven't got rice flake in them, because it wasn't worth me diluting the product to make more money from them. What I want to do is I don't think we make a huge amount of money on the lustre dust. What we do is produce a product that I know works for everybody. It wasn't about getting rich, right? It was about making an amazing product. And I think this is a lesson for everybody, actually. Where people say, you're just making loads of money. We don't focus on making money. We focus on making an amazing product. And that sustains us in a business, right? And it's the same for chocolate. Focus on making an amazing product. Focus on progressing, not perfection. They're good lessons, right? You need to know your figures. You need to know your statistics. You need to know all those dynamics that drive the business. But actually, don't focus on making money. Focus on making an amazing product. The money will follow, right? Jurat Bakes. Hello, hello. Coco Lily, hello. I did a sister's Christmas cake with a copper dish, and it was stunning with sugars and flowers. Yeah, happy days. What's the best way to put together a two-piece mould? I've been heating one side on a hot pan, but it's a little messy and doesn't always stick well. Would be better gluing them with a liquid chocolate. Alex Eats, yeah, interesting question. Depends on the size of them. When they're smaller ones, what I would do, and do I have an Easter egg mould here? Where's the Easter egg mould, Sophia? I think they're stored away because we're not using them. What I would always do, once they're out, I would put one of them in the actual mould, okay, and just gently heat that one, and then lift the other one over it. I don't know what people are obsessed with, trying to get this perfect seam, okay. So they're trying to get this perfect seam. If you Easter eggs, love hearts that are glued together, if we're colouring them, it's very, very difficult to get that seam absolutely perfect, okay? And then if you think about this, some logic, wherever you see the Easter eggs where two halves are together, there's always this lovely piece of ribbon that goes round the bit that's sealed, okay? That's called camouflage and concealment. So you can glue them with a little bit of chocolate, but that will cause you more problems, because when you glue the two pieces together, it will squeeze out, and then you'll end up with that. I think that you can. There's one of two things. You can either garnish it or camouflage it with a ribbon or something afterwards. But you're never going to get this absolute seamless. It doesn't happen. And also we've got two chocolates that are moving. Chocolate's always moving. Chocolate's always expanding and contracting. Based on humidity and temperature, right? So even after 4, 5, 6, 7 days, when the type 6th crystal kind of comes into play and chocolate's got a really brittle snap to it, you might find one half has got smaller than the other and cracks appear. It depends on that shape, Alex, but I would always I'd let them both retract, and then I'll put one back into the mould and then glue the other, rather than trying to hold two together to stick them, right? And if you're going on a pan, if you put one in a mould, okay, and just give it a gentle heat, and just until you start seeing the chocolate just about liquid, all right, then you would sit the other one on. The problem with putting it on a pan is, one, you get all finger marks on the outside of it. Two, you end up melting too much of it. If you have a look at what chocolate's left on that hot pan sheet and you scrape that off, that's a considerable amount. It really, really is. I dry dusted a Christmas cake with a copper and gold, and it's stunning. Yeah, the gold's back in stock. I did that today, and there's plenty, but that just seems to, like, one gets ordered, then loads gets ordered. So who knows? I'm happy boy. Yeah, that's a good answer. People that ask me the questions, and we get hundreds of messages some days. The airbrush, all the kit. If you go to my Instagram page, if you go to the profile page and you get the highlights, there are links to all the equipment and all the stuff that I use. The stuff that I use is, did a hands-on class this week with a lovely lady from America. And Michelle said, I thought you'd have a tempering machine. It's like, well, I can and I would, but the problem is the people that I teach are generally home producers. They don't want to do a class and then realise that they need to go and spend $20,000 on a machine so they can do stuff. So I don't tend to teach with that stuff. A lot of the things that we have here, and we got some clever equipment, but a lot of the stuff here is stuff that's available online, and you can buy it and you can get it in, because the majority of my students and the majority of the people that I teach, say the majority, probably 80% of who I teach, are home producers who don't have $15,000 to buy a machine, who can't buy fridges that have got, tolerances and what have you. So the links on my profile page has got the highlights, it's got all the links of all the stuff that I use and the stuff that I recommend. And if I've not bought it myself, it's not something I recommend. If I've not used it, I'm not in the habit of saying buy this because I've been paid to promote it. That's just not how I make money. So yeah, go and have a look at the highlights. Got all those. Anybody that asks questions and says what compressor I like, I always send them to my highlights. Is there a best way to clean a gun? Yeah, warm it up, and then I've got visitors. Warm the brush up, hot, because you're not going to use it again. You're going to put it away. Warm it up, clean it out with paper. You don't need to take it apart. You don't need to keep taking it to pieces. The more you take these to pieces, the more damage you're going to do, because they're not designed to be taken apart all the time. Warm it up, give it a wipe with paper, spray out any excess, and then put it away. Any cocoa butter in there will harden and protect it. And then the next time you want to heat it up, or give it another wipe down, make sure everything's out there, and carry on spraying or carry on using it. Nadia likes the lustre dust, I know that. So, Rotary cakes, I've received my new colours. I'm excited to use them. Thank you for ordering. Hi, I'm on the Isle of Wight. What's the shelf life on the ganache in your recipe? Which one? Which recipe? Any idea on the shelf life? Espresso syrup in a bonbon. Is there a way of extending the shelf life? An espresso syrup would be like, if it's pure sugar and glucose. So you take a coffee solution. Say you had like 100 grams. Say you had 100 grams of coffee, really strong coffee, and then into that I'd put like probably like 60 grams of glucose, 40 grams of sugar. If we boil that down so that that weight is back down to 100, we'd have a pure sugar solution that's coffee flavored, right? Like I would have thought that's got a really, really low water content. Whether you could manage it. Sugar syrups generally have a really, really long shelf life, like 6 to 9 months, I would have thought. Too much copper lustre will give you an Essex tan. Stuart, have you put that in the panning machine and ended up wearing it? Is that what happened? I dropped one on the floor. I dropped the gold on the floor, and it just puffed up in the air. And when the girls came home, they're like, why is the house glittery? You like the glitter. Come and say hello. Sarah wants to say hello. Tell them about lobster.
Hello, Chocy Chat. I love lobster.
You love lobster?
Yeah, especially the antennas.
You like the antennas on the lobster?
Yeah, and also I like the lobster when
when we had to cook it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was scary, wasn't it? It wasn't happy, but you know what?
He wasn't happy.
I don't think so.
No.
Here you go.
Well, I did kick him a few times.
No, you didn't kick him at all. We treat them with respect at all times, right?
Yeah.
It's food. Ruhi, go.
And lustre dust. Honestly, it got everywhere.
The lustre dust went everywhere, wasn't it? Everywhere was glittery, wasn't it?
It was like it was like a unicorn.
I went to the shop and everybody said, "Wow, you're glittery today." It was on my shoes. It was everywhere, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On the wheels, it's in the car, it's on the steering wheel. Goes a long way. It's only 10 grams in there, but when you spill it, gallons of it. Go, yella, Ruhi, go, yella. Yeah, how does Stuart know what an Essex tan is? What is that? Oh dear me. You know it's gone past 9 o'clock because Mo started. Yeah, and we're off. Oh dear me. Rania, can you send a private message to Mo? Everybody's talking about blowing their noses now. Oh no, glittery snot. I love the Chocy Chat. I love
Hi, Chocy Chat.
Finally, a solution to my lid problem. It's true. Greetings from Brazil. Hello in Brazil. Don't know what the greeting is in Brazilian.
Huh?
What is the greeting in Brazilian? I don't know. How do you say hello? International. Hello. Lustre looks good if you roll truffles in it. Used it in the kids' chocolate party last week. Yeah. Do you know the trick with the truffle? If you're doing lustre dust on those, is to put a little bit of lustre dust in a Ziploc bag, put the truffles in there, and just give them a little roll round. And then you can lift them out. If you put the truffles in a bowl and you put the lustre dust and you give it a spin, off it goes into the atmosphere. So you end up decorating more than just the truffles, right? And then the bag, you can just keep using the bag, right? Just keep using it over and over and over. Is Sophia supposed to be writing the answers down? Sarah had to bring the... You're not going to scare anybody in Chocky Chat. Oh, no, not on the phone, please. Not. I don't want that in here.
His antennas
I don't want that in here. I don't want that in here.
I'm going to rip it off now.
If we don't show them, who will, right? If we don't teach them to respect food, who will, right? Because schools, they just get packet stuff, and it's not even real food, right? So, Sarah's going to walk around the house scaring everybody with a lobster head for the next whatever, right? So, Jason's there. How you doing, Jason, in the Napa Valley? How's everybody's week? Everybody's had an amazing week based on the chocolates that I've seen. Absolutely. Let me scroll through. May chocolates. There were some interesting designs, May. Very, very interesting design. The mint one, I think, is 28 days. I think it's 28 days for the mint one on my page. It's a... is it 28 days? I need to go and have a look. It's a while since I looked at the mint ganache. I think it's 28 days. See, I think it's 28 days, 4 weeks, right? Yes. I'm scrolling back through my... Yeah, it's 28 days. Hi, what's number is your airbrush needle for cocoa butters? Generally, I spray through a 0.8 needle. I will always spray through a 0.8 needle. And then there are times that there are brushes where we have them at 0.5 because I've got a little bit more control and I can do different designs. And we'll swap between them. It depends what I'm doing. Swapping the needles out for me. Like, I've been using these things for... I want to say 35 years. It's probably closer to 35 years I've been playing with airbrushes. So I kind of know. Swapping the needles out takes me seconds. What I would say is that when you're at the beginning, it's easy with a 0.8 needle. You tend to overspray a little bit more until you understand control a little bit more. And again, the airbrush class goes through this. Why would I limit it down? Why do I want it smaller? It depends on the product, depends on the butter. Type A sprays through a 0.5, much better than a 0.8 without the overspray and waste. So type B butters are much thicker, much heavier, require much more pressure, but needs a 0.8 needle, which you would then limit down. So different things, you know, again, the airbrush class goes into all this so that you're kind of fully armed. Actually, for chocolatiers, it's about making a decision. What's the design? How am I spraying it? And how much pressure do I need? And the type of butter that we use, a type A or a type B, really comes into effect. The size of the needle's got more to do with the size of the molecule going through it. And the amount of pressure that you need is dependent on the design and what you're doing. And again, the airbrush class goes into this fully. So. Mo saying it's like twinkly stars, isn't it? Yeah, when you drop a thing of lustre dust and it goes up in the air, visual, what would you say, a few days? A week. It's everywhere. I find it in bits of the house. It's like, I wasn't even working in here and it's like happy days. Darren Jones, hello in Mallorca. Hello. Oh, no. Yeah, I used the bags for lustre dust, but not reusing then as double dipping was happening. Well, Paula, you need to get that under control. Double dipping's not allowed. Lavoca chocolates, hello. Sophie's saying she's scaring everybody with a lobster. Still ate it though. It's the mussels. We did a huge bowl of mussels, which lasted seconds, right? And the passio, they know. I did a video of the linguine, very tasty. I'm quite thankful that I'm a chef. I can take any ingredient and I can make something, right? It's always good.
I'm quite thankful that my dad is a chef.
Salma said she's thankful that her dad's a chef. Sophia's got lobster in her hair now. Brilliant. Dolce Mara, hello in South Africa. JK Pastry, how are you, sir? Not spoken to you in a while. Who else got? Has anybody got any questions? It's 9:20. What else should we do? We've covered lustre dusts. That will be a game changer, just knowing how to get that lid on. Just like I said, just give it a gentle squeeze, right? Don't put it in a vice. Just a gentle push with it flat will get that secure again. What else is going on this week? I think everybody, you should all have your plans together for kind of Christmas. Halloween round the corner. Just be careful with Halloween, because Halloween's one of those, it's kind of the first thing that we get to. It's great fun to decorate for. Sales can be quite difficult because it's a single day event. What you don't want to do, you know, if you've got the market, great, go ahead. But it's good for advertising. It's good to make a couple of trays to have some fun and kind of get back into it. The real craft is, you know, after Halloween's gone, is this run up to getting Christmas and making sure you've got everything lined up. Do you know your recipes? Do you know your designs? Is it all written down? Do you know what your formulas are? Do you know what your yields are? When I talk about yields, it's, do you know your recipe, how many molds does it fill? And if it doesn't fill one, can you up that recipe so it does make one mold without the wastage? It's all these, you know, it's all these things, right? Fusion chocolate. If making chocolate caramel ganache, would you make the caramel ahead of time and then add the chocolate when reheating, or just add the chocolate when making match? Either or, Paula. Really not a problem. And this is something we will do. This is something we will do when we're very, very busy. We would just make a base caramel that's very, very thin. But I know that if I measure off 290 grams of that thin caramel, I know that I need to add 95 grams of milk chocolate or caramelized chocolate. If it's white chocolate, the 95 grams becomes 125. And if it's dark chocolate, it drops all the way back to 75 grams, right? Because 75 grams into that 290 is enough to make it very, very thin. So totally up to you. You can make a base caramel. If you add white chocolate, it'll be lighter and it will take citrus fruits and other flavourings. You can add milk chocolate and it'll take more spices, more kind of heavier spices will go in there. And then if you're doing a dark chocolate caramel ganache, it's a standard caramel with dark chocolate in it, but it will take heavier oils like peppermint, and you can start playing with those flavours. So when we're truly busy into the kind of spirit of it, certainly Christmas, not uncommon for us to have kind of 10 kilos, possibly 10 kilos, possibly more, of a standard caramel, which we will rewarm and reflavour and re-strengthen with a chocolate for whatever it is we want to do. The shelf life still remains from the starting point of making that caramel, but generally it will go into big Ziploc bags and it will chill. We don't freeze it, there's no point in freezing it. It actually doesn't freeze caramel. So it will just go into the fridge in Ziploc bags, and then we'll use it. We will take from that as we require. I think that's the beauty of caramel, is that you can change the flavours and you can do different things with it, right? So I think I answered that one. Ash Pastry Arts, hello. If you've got questions, fire away. We've got a few minutes, 7 or 8 minutes yet. So, and I've got to fill the gap with something. I think I chatted enough. I'm still on Ribena. Are you coming back with another lobster? I don't want the lobsters in there.
Nope.
Seren made a lobster wedding ring. Look, there we go.
Not a wedding ring.
Yeah, it better not be a wedding ring.
It is just a ring.
I was saying to people, so I worked for a quite famous chef, and we had to take the tentacles and we had to curl them like this, right? So that they sat on the edge of a cocktail that was served in the bar, right? There were chefs in tears some nights because there were chefs some nights that were just like in tears because they just couldn't get this to work, right? One of those things. Lavoca Chocolates, I've got all my Christmas stuff planned, but I'm going to the Bovrick course tomorrow, so expecting everything to change last minute. Don't change too many plans. Don't change too many plans at this point. You want to have stuff set in stone. What you don't want to do is start doing really complicated designs, which take up all of your time, and then you miss, other deadlines of being able to produce and then being able to produce on time. So, will the pearls work with white chocolate or will they colour milk chocolate? You might be able to. There's there's red, blue, yellow, white, and orange. Milk chocolate's a difficult one to colour. You know, it just doesn't take any colour. So yeah, it's mostly going to be a white chocolate. I've not tested the pearls on milk chocolate. It's kind of not something I do. I think it would just kind of be lost. The reason, yeah, we're going to do an orange as well. I don't know, Paula. I've not tested them on milk chocolate. I've tested them on white chocolate because that's the only one that I'd actually want to colour and have the brightness. So. Oh, that's a good idea. I keep one of my A4 storage tubs for lustre dust and keep using it. That's a good idea. Right. So what Stuart's saying is, like for truffles, he'll put the lustre dust in one of these, put the truffles in, and then just keep using it over and over and over, right? That's a good idea. Keeps it all neat and tidy. It can go on the shelf, wrapped and labelled, put it away, right? That's a good idea. Thank you, Stuart, for sharing that. We have got, so the cocoa pearls are in white, okay? They are, the cocoa pearls, these aren't the actual tubs, they are the product, but they aren't the tubs. They will be, yeah, they will be, you'll be able to brighten white chocolate if you so wanted to. Equally, if you had white chocolate and if you had 400 grams of white chocolate and you do 2 of the yellow and 2 of the white, you'd end up with a very bright lemon yellow, right? Or you can keep the white out and have and just put the yellow into the 2 or 3 pearls into the white chocolate of yellow, and it'll give you a brighter yellow. Or you could do all 6 pearls in 400 grams of white chocolate and have really, really bright yellow. So there's no easy formula. You know, the limit set at 400 grams for 6 pearls or 1 pearl per 70 grams of white chocolate, right? So yeah, that's a good tip. That is it. Is it possible to get a neat finish with truffles dipped only in chocolate without rolling them in anything? Yeah, you can. You'd need a dipping fork. You need a dipping fork, and you need a very fluid chocolate. You want a very fluid chocolate, and it's quite time consuming when it comes out of the bowl. And it's standard dipping, right? You can get the sticks, and I don't have one here. You can get the dipping sticks that has this coil, okay? And then there's another one. There's a 3-pronged fork and a 2, okay? You balance it on the 2, and then on a really, really fluid chocolate, you would tap enough and then pull off the excess. You're using the bowl and chocolate to pull off the excess rather than tapping, and then you can put them down. You get quite a smooth finish. If I'm honest, the smoothest finish for truffles is just enrobing through an enrobing belt, but that comes at an expense, and you need, you know, all those bits and pieces. So Kelly, they're not available yet. They will be available shortly when I've got enough stock. We got some labelling to do. They're going to be in 50-gram tubs. I'm just waiting on that label coming back, so just bear with me. I would have thought they'll be available. I would have thought by the 10th, 12th of October they'll be on the website. So, and then we've got another website which I've got issues on getting stuff scaled over. So there'll be little tubs like that. Also waiting on the shrink wrap for it, so that these have a seal on them as well, right? So all this stuff, there's so much stuff that we had to cover with these. It's been an engineering challenge, right? The cocoa pearls, but it's worth doing. Actually, it's a good solution for people in the industry, right? So, and the focus was making an amazing product to help chocolatiers, not making make a product that we could just sell. I need to know myself that it works for me, right? Happy days. Purchase the Airbrush course. Really excited to start. Happy days. I will send you a link for that shortly. Right, it is 9:30. Salma, you can say hello. Salma sits with me every night, don't you? You're sitting here every single night, you. and listen to the Chocky Chat. So I've got an audience in here and I've got an audience there. The only difference is I can't see everybody there. I wish I could see everybody that side.
I get a free...
Because this is all my friends as well, right? I know I run Chocky Chat, but I'm part of Chocky Chat crew as well. I think people forget that. I get advice. I get some good ideas. I see what's going on. I read the questions. I get to see some of the amazing answers, right? So it's not a one-way street, that's for sure. Have a lovely week. Be nice to people. Keep going. We're nearly there. It's the end of, start of October next week. We're kind of going to get back into chocolate season, and then it's money-making time, and you should be like absolutely ready to rock and roll. So have a nice week, everybody. I will see you next Friday. It will roll round. Next week is episode 150. Yes, it is. All right. See you soon, everybody.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
watching.
Thank you, Chocky Chat crew. Bye bye. Susie, get better soon. Bye bye.
Chocky Chat.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.